Hey guys, what's up? We're gonna finish Germany today. We went to a few other places besides Berlin and really had a great time. As I've said before, Germany is my most favorite place ever, so I'm gonna keep talking about it. So we went to Dresden next. We picked up a car in Berlin, which was like the easiest car picking up situation we had the entire time. It was fantastic, and we had an awesome car. It was a Volkswagen Golf wagon, and I loved it, and I wanted to keep it forever and ever, but I couldn't. And so we drove down to Dresden. It was like a couple hours away, and really were excited when we got there because it was so cute. I love Dresden. I love it, and I can't wait to go back and see it again someday. It was just the perfect size. It wasn't too big, wasn't too small. It was awesome. And so Jared and I dropped off Dodger and my brother at the hostel, which was not that hard to find, finally. And then we went to find a place to park the car. Parking is just, I've said before in like the transportation or the car video, I think, it's a nightmare. Even in Germany, where there's more parking than anywhere else, I feel like it was still really hard, and I swear there was construction everywhere we went. It's just like here in the US, summer is like construction season because the weather's nicer. I think it's the same in Europe. There's just so much more road construction and stuff. So we parked the car really far away, which made me kind of nervous. I was like, is someone gonna steal the rental car, or I don't know, are we gonna lose it? I don't know. I just didn't really like that. But we had a really enjoyable walk back to the hostel where we saw just a bunch of cute shops, and I don't know, it was awesome. It was so cool, and our hostel was rocking. Dodger and I talked about it a little bit already. It was really pretty small, but it was so cool, and I'm sad that we didn't take any pictures of the inside of it, but it's called Lawless Hostel, so if you go to like hostelworld.com, you can probably look at pictures yourself, and they're super good pictures too. It's so cool. So I won't talk about that a lot since you already heard about it if you watched Dodger and my video that I did on her channel. But it was great, and we went and found an awesome grocery store too, which you have probably already heard about as well. It was like, oh, it was the best grocery store. And we just really had a good time just walking around Dresden. It was super chill. It was kind of cold, actually, a little bit cold and rainy. I was wishing I had brought more long pants because I was like, we're not even to the UK yet. I know it's going to be freezing cold there, so I thought I was maybe going to lose a leg to frostbite. It was just so cold. But we went across the river. I think we were on the north side. I think it's north-south. I don't know if it's north-south, east-west. The Elbe River is what runs through Dresden, cuts it in half, I think. And so we walked, I'm going to say south. We walked south to the opposite side of the river where all the fancy stuff is. So we saw, let's see, it was the Royal Palace, the Opera House, some churches, and the Zwinger, which the Zwinger is way cool. Way cool. Of course, all of this was like reconstructed because there was a lot of damage done to Dresden, more than a lot of other cities. I think it was actually the worst damaged one. I can't remember exactly, but they did a fantastic job rebuilding it. It was so beautiful. And the Zwinger is like this big giant, like, it's around the palace. Like, I couldn't actually differentiate between palace, opera house, all of that. It all looked like just one big complex. But there's really awesome statues everywhere. There's fountains. There's these gardens, and there'll be pictures of all of this, by the way. There's, perfectly manicured lawns, like shaped grass chunks, and it's just so great. And they hold open air concerts out there, and so there was a stage up with a guy that was like perfectly mopping the stage, and there's a little glimpse of him in one of the pictures. I don't think we kept the video. Jared took a video of him like ding, 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 like mopping the stage because it was just so amazingly precise. But we just had a great time walking around. It was so beautiful. I highly recommend going to Dresden. Try to watch the weather, though, if you're not somebody that deals really well with rainy, cold, whatever. It wasn't like dumping rain on us, but it was kind of chilly. It was overcast, pretty like gloomy, like it was about to rain, but whatever. We're from Oregon. We don't care. So we're only in Dresden just the one night, but I mean, I totally could have stayed for a long time, but we had a great time. We got up the next day and took off on like back country roads. We were making our way over to Weimar, which is west of Dresden, and we decided to take a bunch of country roads because we had a car, so why not, go places that the train doesn't really go, or that, like a bus or something wouldn't go. So, and we were also kind of looking for the town where my grandpa told me we still have a family farm or something. This is my mom's dad. And we found the town. It was like a collection of houses and a church. And I think that's what a lot of the towns in, especially the eastern part of Germany, are actually just like a collection of houses and a church and maybe a store. Because we passed through a whole bunch of little towns that were they were super cute, like little villages. And they were really small, and you'd drive through them in like a minute or less. And then you'd drive for like a couple miles, and there'd be another one. Sometimes not even a couple miles. They were like really closely spaced together, but they were so cute, and it was just beautiful. Like, we really loved driving through the countryside. And we made our way to Weimar, which is also a super cute town. We had trouble finding the hostel because there was a bazillion one-way streets in Weimar, and it was really like narrow streets. But we found our hostel, and this is the one that the outside was really cool looking, had all the vines on the side, but the inside was kind of creepy. I didn't like it at all. It was a little bit unkempt. It was kind of damp in there, like really cold and damp. And it wasn't that cold outside. Like, it wasn't hot. It wasn't like 80 degrees, but we had been in really hot weather, so it was feeling colder to us than normally it would if we had been in that same temperature. But it wasn't that cold outside, but inside the hostel, I swear it was like freezing. It was just I don't know. If it had been clean, I might have thought it was cooler, and if it hadn't been kind of creepy and barely occupied, but I really didn't like it. But we were in Weimar to see Weimar, but honestly to go and take a tour of Buchenwald, because Buchenwald concentration camp is really close to Weimar. It's like just right outside of it. So that was kind of on our agenda. That was the main purpose, to go there, although we thoroughly enjoyed walking around Weimar, and I would totally go back just to see Weimar because it's really cute, and just to hang out and ride bikes and be chill. But we did go tour Buchenwald. We got like an audio tour. They give you like a little iPod with headphones. And I feel like it was a very important experience. So if you ever are traveling and you get a chance to go to a concentration camp like that's been set up, take tours out of a museum type thing, do it, because I think it's a very important thing to learn about. It's a very good learning experience. So we did not take pictures. It is not a place that you take a bunch of pictures of naturally. So we knew we were going to be pretty wiped out from that. So when we were done, we just went to the store, went back, made dinner, and kind of went for a little stroll, and then crashed like super early. So the next day, we intended to explore Bamberg, which is a really amazing historical city that really wasn't damaged at all in the war. So it's like original. I really wanted to see that, and we drove through it, but again, with the parking, and we just didn't know how much time we had, so we decided just to stop and eat lunch at a Chinese restaurant and use the restroom, and continued on to Rothenburg, which is another super cute town. Germany is just filled with super cute places. It's like gingerbread houses everywhere. I love it. But Rothenburg is like a little walled medieval city, and it's very touristy, but it's not filled with just like American tourists. It's filled with all kinds of European tourists as well, because it's that cute apparently. But we had a really good time. Just walking around, like so many places, so many of these towns, like there's not a specific destination necessarily or that I knew of, but just walking around and looking at all the beautiful buildings, and I don't know, just the atmosphere was worth it. So hung out in Rothenburg for a while, saw some really cute, they have like these adorable little shops, lots of Christmas shops, and just every kind of shop you can imagine, and really like all crafty things. And there were these little, I think I'm going to put up one picture of this, but there were these little miniature, like, looked like a room carved out of wood, and they were seriously tiny. So like the picture that you're seeing is like a zoomed in version, but I can't remember if there were like little dinner plates or something in it, but if there is a dinner plate in it, it's like the size of a dime. an American dime, really small coin. So it was pretty impressive, like intricate, like little carving that was super tiny. But yeah, we just kind of strolled around there. We didn't have an agenda. We didn't have a specific thing to see. So after Rothenburg, we took off and headed to Würzburg, which is where our next hostel was. And we didn't get to explore Würzburg. Like we thought we didn't have time, but we found out later the next day that we would have had time. But anyway, that's in the past. But when we got to Würzburg, so excited. Our hostel had a parking lot. Oh my goodness, it was the most brilliant thing of, like, as far as cars go, of the entire trip. It was fantastic. We had a parking lot. It was so wonderful. And I know it sounds really dorky, but you don't even understand how how long we spent looking for parking places, and when we had to park a million light years away from our hostel and then walk forever. It was just so nice. Like, we can park the car here, seriously. So that was a pretty cool hostel. Not just because of the car park, it was actually a really cool place. And so we kind of took our dear sweet time, just la la la, hanging out, eating, lounging, sleeping in. Maybe that's why we didn't explore Würzburg, because we slept in the next day. And we had intended the day after Würzburg hostel to go and do a wine tasting somewhere along the Rhine, because we spent the next day, or part of the day, driving up the Rhine River Valley, seeing lots of, wait for it, cute towns and castles. Some of them were like ruined castles, and some of them were actually currently being used like as a vineyard or something, hence the wanted to go wine tasting. We didn't know how to do that though. We didn't know like exactly how to get to some of them. I wasn't as prepared as I should have been for that. And so we did not go wine tasting. We did buy some wine at a store. We bought some Rhine wine. And we were supposed to originally stay at a campsite that night. I had arranged for that. But we realized that there were truck stops. And truck stops are free and campsites are not. All we really needed was the bathroom because we were going to stay in the car anyway. So we found basically the general area of where we were going to go, like the truck stop area, and I think there was a Toys R Us nearby it, and so we played in Toys R Us. We played in German Toys R Us for a little while because it was fun and we could, and then we had our crazy night of sleeping in the car at a truck stop. It was so cold. I was really uncomfortable. The boys were too hot in the front. I was too cold in the back. Dodger was completely cozy in the little seat teepee because the front seats we folded back, and then I was in like the trunk area and folded those forward, and so she was in this perfect little teepee with the food bag right by her head, so she was munching on food while we were all trying to go to sleep. But yeah, it was just a funny experience. We were ridiculous, like did not get a lot of sleep, and we ended up getting up at like 5 a.m. I think, because we were like, oh, I'm not going back to sleep because I can't get to sleep because I'm sleeping in the trunk. So it's not really the trunk, it was a hatchback, so you know, whatever. And the next morning we ended up driving to Cologne because we were going to drop off our car and catch a train to Belgium, and that will be another video. So yeah, that was Germany. Loved it a lot. Jared and I took a trip a couple years ago to Bavaria, so I'll probably do videos about that again later, so I'll have more Germany to talk about. But so far that is what we had seen. So anyway, I will talk to you guys next time. We'll be talking about Bruges. See you later.